What is going on, everybody? You are watching The Link. What's happening? I am joined here by my two fabulous co-hosts, Kai, Dwayne. What is happening? How are you?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name's Kai Smith.
Kai, I'm loving this sweater. Like, you're giving me everything in this sweater. I love
Thanks.
it. It's bleached goodness.
Thanks.
Dwayne's giving me throwback in the Gilligan Isle hat. I love it. Come on, here on Gilligan Isle.
Had a work from home day today, so I was a little bit more comfier. I mean, I wear sweatshirts in the office anyway. Who am I kidding?
Well, you are watching The Link. It is a collaboration between APLA Health and Pyro Media Network, and it is also funded by the fabulous people over at the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, because without them, we could not do what we do. Now, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button and that little bell, get that ring-a-ding-ding on, honey, so that you can always know when we are live, which is every Tuesday at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. Now, we have an amazing show today. We have an amazing guest. Before we get to our guest, who is awesome, we got to get into what's popping,
Okay, what's popping?
So, it's been on everybody's lips. It's been on everybody's show. It's been on everybody's everything. Dave Chappelle special. Huge controversy as it pertains to queer folks, but specifically the trans community. Now, I don't know if either of y'all have watched the special. Have either of you seen the special?
No. I shan't. I will not.
You shan't and you will not. Porque, why you shan't?
I mean, I just don't want to. I've heard enough and I've seen enough clips to know that it's not really something that I want to support. Now, as much as I would like to watch it, just to have a more, a better stance on like where, as far as like where my beliefs and things on the special itself, I don't know. My morals are not allowing me to just dive on into that. I don't care if it's only an hour. It's just not happening.
Kai, what about you? Have you seen the special? Do you care to see the special?
I haven't, and I haven't watched some of Dave Chappelle's stuff actually for quite a while. I think at one point in my life, Dave Chappelle's humor really did appeal to me. I don't think I'm at that point in my life anymore where much of his humor appeals to me, so I have not. What I have heard has been kind of both sides. Some people saying, no, there was nothing wrong. Then there are other people who are saying like this was offensive. I always err on the side. If someone says something that was said about their community is offensive to them, I'm going to take that for what it is. So that's basically where I'm at.
Well, if you follow me on social media, you know I've been very vocal about this topic. I did watch it. I watched it purely because my followers were asking me to watch it and give an opinion, which is what I did. I watched it all the way through, and my ending opinion landed here. I don't feel like the special should have ever been greenlit. Dave Chappelle is not someone that is necessarily... We have a buzzing. Give me a second because we need to turn down this microphone just a tad so that we don't have that little whistling in the back. Don't you just love live television? It's wonderful. But I felt like the special should have never been greenlit. I agree with you, Kai. I don't watch Dave Chappelle often because when I do watch him, I feel forced to laugh. He's not very funny to me. His comedy doesn't necessarily relate for me.
Not the ha.
A few of those.
And I don't, in watching the special, I will say that I don't feel that he was being intentionally malicious in the way that I don't think that he's walking around like, I hate trans people and I want all trans people to die. But I do think that it was very provocatively problematic in the way that he tried to start and create room for a conversation that he doesn't have the range or the experience to help navigate. And he did it in a way where it completely erased the Black trans experience or the Black queer experience altogether. The way that he talked about queerness, the stance that he talked about it, he made queerness this white construct that becomes an abnormality to Black folks. And I just didn't really appreciate that. And I completely understand why the trans community was so offended by what he said. And I understand the anger behind it. Because like anybody with a platform, when you say something about a community and you incite the ignorance in other people who already have a problem with that community, you co-sign their ignorance and you help incite their violence, their derogatory slurs. You help incite all of the things that trans folks and queer folks overall have to deal with but specifically within Black and Brown communities. So, at this point, should he be canceled was the big question for everybody. I don't necessarily think he can be canceled just because it's over. His contract with Netflix is done. He got his money. He's moving on with his life, and he's not connected necessarily to any sponsorships or deals that can be stripped, at this point. So if you have not watched it, but you are curious to watch it, just know the very first joke that opens up the special is a joke about him being molested by a priest and how he loved ejaculating on a priest's face. So that's the start of the special. That's literally the first joke that comes out of his mouth, and you can just guesstimate how it goes from there. But we are moving on because I know that Dwayne has some very interesting things that you want to talk about in regards to some hot sauce and some chicken.
Yes. Okay. Welcome everybody. Yes. Come on. I better have the floor. So, my fave, Megan Thee Stallion, the hot girl coach, okay, has teamed up with Popeyes to give us the hottie sauce, okay? And not only that, she's also teamed up with them to do I think it's a foundation for, I think it's creators in Texas. I can never find the articles for these, y'all. I am so sorry. I'm a terrible journalist. I did not go to school for this. I went for performing arts, okay?
I think what happened was there was a foundation that she supported, and she reached out to Popeyes and asked Popeyes if they would match what she had donated and what she brought in, and so Popeyes said that she would. But I also believe that she's joined the Popeyes franchise. She's bought a Popeyes that she's going to be opening. Do we know where she's opening it?
She bought a few. She hasn't announced that quite yet.
Oh, she bought a few?
Yes, she bought
she said franchise.
Yeah, like a couple of them, I think. In one article it says 6, but again, because she hasn't announced anything like officially, we can't really say that. So allegedly, she bought 6 Popeyes in locations to be determined. But yes, I'm very excited. It dropped today. I'm definitely going to get mine, hopefully, if they didn't sell out already, like the chicken sandwich. And yeah, I hope it's not too spicy. Are y'all going to try it? Y'all don't
So
like that?
Well, Kai won't because Kai can't eat normal people food. But I am excited about it. I think, and this was actually something I was having a conversation with my partner a couple of days ago. I'm actually really excited to see Megan being one of them. A lot of these new artists kind of going back to this old kind of sponsorship kind of role that we used to see back in the day, where every artist would kind of do that before. And I was wondering, like, what was that reason? And this is purely COVID, right? They can't go on tour. They can't get that money from tour. So you better get those sponsorships. And I remember even on the social media, people like, I'm tired of seeing like artists be like sponsors for like weird things like McDonald's or something. And I was like, so we're okay with athletes doing it, but not artists? Okay. But I'm really excited for it. I won't be eating the Popeyes, but that's a health for me. But if you're out there, you eat it. Let me know what you think about it.
Even a half a nugget?
Girl, it's fried,
It's like-
it's breaded,
You got a very
it's
sensitive palate and
so
stomach.
sensitive. The last
Very
thing y'all need from
sensitive.
me.
Like, she basically eats barks and tree leaves. Like, that's really all she gets.
Well,
And I can only eat so much of it. But yeah, so I'm super excited for it. And I think this is a great way for her to kind of, extend out. I'm always one of those people for like musicians and artists and things like that. Like, so what are you going to do when you stop making music? So this is great. So she better diversify her portfolio and be a business owner.
Well, I will definitely not be trying the hottie sauce.
Why?
Because I don't like sauce like that. Like, I don't
don't like sauce.
Like sweet heat. I feel like it's gonna be just like sweet heat.
Okay, that's cute.
What was her sauce like?
But if it's exactly
It wasn't real.
like
It wasn't even
I
sauce.
can just get sweetie. So but I will say I love the entrepreneurship of her buying several franchises and hopefully she will put them back in communities that need a job market, and that will employ people in a particular area. So I'm really looking forward to that. I agree, Kai. It's good to see artists and people that we see on television or in our music get back to like those old school sponsorships and those things that we used to see back in the 90s and early 2000s. So there is a bit of nostalgia there. I just will the people be wrapping themselves around to get this here hot sauce? I don't know. I don't know.
All right, I do. There
But
we go.
I'm happy for her. I mean, even with the chicken sandwich, when the chicken sandwich came out, I was not sitting in no lines to get no chicken sandwich. I
wasn't either though. I'm not.
I
still haven't tried
DoorDash
it.
and Uber Eats and eated it to me. I had somebody else wait in the line and just to deliver it because I wasn't doing that. I think we Kai got a little frozen in the midst of the stream, so hopefully
am I good now?
Be back.
I can see him.
Is he back?
I was like, can you see me?
He's back and I can
He's
giving us waves.
wax on, wax off, baby. Okay.
He's giving us waves, honey. He's giving us. So
So I have a topic.
Are you going to say something?
Yeah, I have a topic for this, and this is kind of one of those weird, out there kind of things that I read just while casually scrolling through social media. So as we know, a lot of people, especially young teenagers, love social media, right? They love TikTok, they love Instagram, Twitter. I'm a huge fan of Twitter. But I read this interesting article today where there have been recently a lot of doctors have been saying that, especially in instances of young teenage girls, have been coming in with Tourette's and exhibiting Tourette's-like symptoms. And normally you would think, okay, well, what's the, why is that a big deal? Well, generally for Tourette's, everyone has their own particular tics, right? These tics are things that people Tourette's will do. So it can be like a shake or it can be like a vocal tic. Oftentimes people who have Tourette's will say kind of really inappropriate things for the moment. A lot of these teenage girls that are coming in with similar tics, and one of them being in an English accent saying beans. And now this might seem like, well, how did that happen? It's because there's actually a very popular social media person who has Tourette's, who is showcases her life with Tourette's. So they're actually thinking a lot of these people are kind of getting, they have like Tourette's via watching it. So it's almost kind of like a hypochondriac, like, moment from it, experience from it. And I was just thinking, like, how interesting social media is. Like, this is a natural phenomenon that can happen in real life too, right? We've seen in like not ancient history times, but may not have heard, there's been an instance where people have actually danced themselves to death, and it was like a mass hysteria. And so they're kind of equating that to this because of the mass hysteria that's wrapped around social media. People are basically giving themselves mental illnesses, which I think is interesting and really, really strange, especially with Tourette's. Side note, if you don't know, generally we see Tourette's in men, not women. So having a large amount of women in different places too. So we're seeing some in Chicago. There's a doctor in Germany who was doing reports on it. There was some in even like somewhere else, like in the West Coast, like Washington, who's also been kind of experiencing that. So I want to get your guys' take on that, about people getting things from social media and just kind of applying it to themselves or being influenced by it, so to speak. Because this is mental health issues now.
I'm not sold. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm not sold. I don't see how you watch somebody with Tourette's and then all of a sudden develop your own.
And it's the same tics too, which is even stranger, right?
I mean, there was I don't know if it was a movie or a show where there was like this episode where kids were ramming pencils in their ear after watching this YouTube video. And there was like a subliminal messaging. I think it was a show that portrayed this type of phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm not going to say that it's impossible, but I mean, that's a really hard sell.
I think it's just an interesting, like, the power of social media, right? It is literally causing people to have, a mental tic or a verbal tic or physical tic where they're either hurting themselves or, cursing or yelling beans in an English accent. So I thought that was interesting.
See, I would need the video. I would need the video to be investigated. Is there like subliminal messaging in the video? Is there like a sound in the video?
The video that a lot of these people are watching are just the video of this young woman living out her life with Tourette's. Just a lot of them, you can actually if you go on TikTok, you can do Tourette's cooking. And a lot of people with Tourette's are going on social media, kind of showing awareness around the Tourette's disorder. And so a lot of them are them cooking and the struggles that they face with that. And a lot of these people on their feed would have things like that as well, where they would have Tourette's cooking on their feed.
Well, maybe it's like what they say about crossing your eyes. If you do it enough, you'll get stuck. Like,
You keep
maybe
making
it's
that
given
face.
that. I don't know, but I would agree with Daniel. Like, I'm not sold. I need more evidence. Like, where the video at? What's going on?
I mean, because low key in the movie, this sounds like somebody put a root on a whole lot of people. Like, like this sounds like some other type of stuff going on.
But I mean, if you think about social media, I remember when everyone was
out of curiosity.
Uh-huh.
What is the racial structure of the people that are being diagnosed?
So this is the information that I've got from the article. They didn't really talk too much about the racial structure, but they did say a lot of these people who were kind of coming in experiencing these same symptoms did have prior depression or anxiety disorders already kind of on books diagnosed. So they're wondering if there's a connection for that, but they didn't see race, but they did say it was teenage girls. So teenage girls on TikTok, I would say probably we're looking at probably a higher rate of them being white, just because we also know Black people tend not to be in the mental health.
What's the ethnicity of these teenage girls out of
Girl,
curiosity?
I just said.
Because
they don't know. That's what he said. They don't know.
Oh God, because certain ethnicities,
But I think ethnicities aside, we can talk about the power of social media, the influencer, or the way people change their behaviors. I mean, y'all remember when people were eating Tide Pods because they thought it was
I was just gonna say, can you bring Joseph's comment back up? So Joseph Wallace, who is a long-time supporter of the link, shout out to you, Joseph, says social media is very influential. I mean, think about the crates or the Tide Pods. I think some are influenced and convince themselves they have it. Doesn't mean they don't suffer from other mental illness. And I agree with that. But when it comes to stuff like crates or Tide Pods, I really think that type of stuff to me is a condition of like FOMO. Like that real societal fear of missing out. Because I in no way had any inkling to climb my fat ass on a bunch of crates and then fall and break my arm. Like I saw a woman do it and she literally, her bone protruded out of her elbow. She broke her arm trying to do this.
I missed that.
The craze where people were setting themselves on fire. I was just like, I'm not watching this and being and thinking, oh wow, that seems like a good time on social media. So I mean,
I understood the craze. It was like, people wanted Ghetto Ninja Warrior, and so they created it.
And on that note, that is going to conclude our What's Poppin' segment. Honey, look here. We have a phenomenal guest on the show today. He is a social media, what I call maverick. He is an educator by his own words that has been giving activism all and throughout his education on these social media streets. He has blown up on TikTok. He's blown up on Instagram. He got people like Cardi B retweeting his content. Some may call him George, but most of the world knows him as the Conscious Lee.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the Conscious Lee is here, and we are ready to talk with the Conscious Lee. Honey, let's bring him on in. What's going on, Robert?
What's going on?
Hey.
Come on, education is elevation. So we obviously we named this show Research Over Me Search because that has been one of your famous taglines in your videos. And so I just want to say thank you so much for coming in and speaking with us today on the link. My first question out the gate is, how in the hell did you get started on your journey of educating folks about things they don't know nothing about?
College policy debate. Honestly, college policy debate. Being involved on the college policy debate team, walking on to the team, having to debate different individuals from all over the country that talked about different shit. You feel me? So when I was trying to win, I basically went into every debate round on some like pro-black. You feel me? This was going on in the hood. What about Black people? And as a result, there were other people in the community that also debated about capitalism that debated about, you feel me, trans rage that debated about, feminism that debated about, you feel me. I was able to really learn about a whole bunch of different literature bases and a whole bunch of different communities based off of the way that I was debating and how I was involved in debate.
One of the things that I have noticed watching your videos is that you have time, number one, to research the topics that you address. And there are a lot of people that come after you, they come after your, obviously they come after your background, they come after your sexuality, because a lot of the advocacy that, at least that I've seen on specifically TikTok, has been a lot of advocacy for the LGBTQIA community, which shocks a lot of people coming from you because you are a heterosexual cis man with a whole family, married, kids, and you are a teacher, in the day.
Yeah.
How do you cope with, how do you deal with having those things attacked while you're trying to educate and really bring light to an issue that, people in the LGBTQIA community, we try to bring light to these things, but there's only certain circles that we can address, before it's like, okay, let's get the pickets up.
See, I think that because of how I debated, I approached it like it was a training ground. And as a result, I was always trying to pretty much educate the judge in saying that I am the opponent that needs the ballot and my opponent is trash. Like I'm the contestant that needs the ballot and my opponent is trash. So I think that was how I'm used to being able to have a tunnel vision and trying to convince somebody on the other side of the screen or the other side of the room that, you feel me, what I know what I'm talking about, and the other person don't know what they're talking about. And I think this as a result of dealing with different link arguments that people would come for me with, whether it was personal, whether it's critical, whether it's theoretical. I just got used to being able to do that. And I think that the bigger my platform grew on TikTok, the more I started to be able to, I feel like, incorporate different things to account for in terms of when I'm engaging somebody, what to expect. You feel me? Because just like a lot of the ways in which people try to rattle me on the internet, people try to do that when I was in college debate. You feel what I'm saying? Talk shit about this, bring up this, try to make me mad, try to irritate me. Those are all tactics in debate that was used in college policy debate. You feel what I'm saying? So a lot of the shit that people do to me on the internet, 9 times out of 10 is not something new. You feel me? And or I've seen somebody do it, but 10 times better than what they doing it. So I find it funny. You feel me?
Kai, Dwayne, do either one of you have questions for Conscious?
Yeah, I do have a question. So, Daniel had mentioned already that you identify as a straight, straight cisgendered male. Especially in the Black community, oftentimes we don't see someone be so actively out there looking to educate. What drew you to do that? Like, why speak on LGBTQ plus topics? I mean, obviously we love it. We're super thankful for it. But what made you decide, this is something that I think really people need to have this conversation around?
I think that a lot of my advocacy got centered around being like, if I really care about Black people, I'm gonna care about Black people and all the textures of us, you feel me, how we experience, Black life, you feel me? And in my mind, it's like, all of us ain't free until some of us is free. I mean, if some of us ain't free, then none of us is free. You feel what I'm saying? And I think that usually when it comes to the people in the LGBT community, especially with that Black lens, I find that most people in our community are kind of lost in the sauce of what I call plantation patriarchy, where, you feel me, some people want to do with the white man's head, but other people want to just have and run the plantation. And what I find is that a lot of people, in terms of how they invested in their sexual identity or in their gendered identity, is how, you feel me, we try to, want to exert our dominance or want to prove that we are superior and somebody is inferior and somebody under us. So in my mind, it's like when I listen to Huey P. Newton's speech, you feel me, about gay liberation and women's liberation, or when I learn about Marsha P. Johnson, when I learned about Audre Lorde, or, you feel me, I can name drop, hella people is just thinking about how can I have this inclusive, you feel me, real revolutionary understanding of how to account for the people and not just some shit that's making it where I only care about Black folks that fuck the same way I fuck. I only care about Black folks that praise the same God I praise. I only care about Black folks that perform their Blackness the way I think they're supposed to be performed. I try to, be able to recognize that there is the multiplicity in Blackness is how beautiful we all are, just placed differently. And the best I can account for the most of the multiplicity is the better I can be. That's how I see it.
Dwayne, do you have a question for Lee?
I sure do. What's up, Conscious Lee, George Lee?
What's going on?
I'm very excited to have you here, man. Like, I really appreciate the work that you do. So, like, let me have to get that out real quick. But
Come on, fam, moment.
I had to. This man is doing great work, not just for like the LGBT community, but the Black community as a whole. Like, what he is doing and the things that he is speaking on is what, like, we at like not just at APLA, but like, I feel like most of the people in the LGBT community who want actual equality are trying to do. So the fact that he's been able to build his platform is like, you know, it deserves the flowers, you know. But anyway, as a human being, like we all have biases and things like that. And so how do you keep yourself accountable in, like, you know, whenever you do run into your own, like, oh shit, like, wait a minute, like I'm being part of the problem. What's going on? Like, how do you keep yourself accountable, and what are those aha moments for you? Like, what are they like?
I think that I've been able to have some public, saying aha catch up moments where it was like, I said that they ain't come out that good, or you know what I'm saying, I had a knee jerk reaction in the moment that I'm not very proud of now that I've reflected and thought about. You feel me? How I move forward and how I move is just like I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. So I'm not gonna allow for me to the potential of being wrong stop make it where I don't want to do something. You feel me? As long as I can acknowledge that I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm wrong and can be called out in my mind, I'm good. And then and then usually how, you know what I'm saying, how I do that is I don't make it where regardless of how much research I've done, regardless of how many rounds I've had, regardless of who I'm chilling with, regardless of who I drink beer with, or who I'm, you know what I'm saying, who I'm chilling with, I always try to stay implicated within my identity. I know I'm a straight cisgender Black man that's from the hood. I recognize that it don't matter how many trans friends I have, how many books I read about feminism. I'm not a woman. I'm not trans. You feel what I'm saying? I know as a result, you know what I mean, I've been conditioned to see the world in a particular way. I'm very upfront about that, and I have no point. I have no reason. And you know what I'm saying? I'm very upfront about, hey, it's an everyday learning experience. You feel me? Like I know that I'm still ableist. I know that I'm still misogynist. I know that I'm still transphobic, but I'm willing to figure out the ways in which I am every day, try to do something about it. You feel me? It's not like I read that one book and now nobody better. It's not like that. It's not like, hey, I read first wave feminism and second wave feminism and third wave feminism, and how dare you call me sexist? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like I never try to be a white liberal with it. That's the best way to put it. You feel me? And if white liberals, the reason why I'm being critical on this is because a lot of times you'll take your knowledge and feel like your knowledge makes you immune to being, you know what I'm saying, oppressive. So in my mind, it's like I recognize I'm for the progression of a lot of communities, but I'm also critical in how I can be getting in the way of the progression of that community. Like I'm for women's liberation and women's progression, but I'll be a fool and have to think about how I can get away with that shit. And I'm always cool with being able to recognize how I get in the way of it. I hope that answered your question, Dwayne.
It did. It was great.
Lee, I want to ask you, one of the things that, you know, even on my social media platform, when I'm talking about these things, I always will conflate or use an example for when I'm talking specifically to the Black community. I equate racism and systematic oppression with how most Black cishet folks approach queerness or approach the Black LGBTQIA community. And it often, for me, surprises me how they can't really see the intersection of how you have taken on the master's mindset, you know, in one area, but you want to overtake the master in another area and another mindset. What has been the process for you in breaking that down for you? Like you said, you work every day to make sure that you are, you know, addressing these things, addressing these biases. What is that process like for you? And do you think that we will get to a space where the Black community cannot do to other marginalized communities what systematic oppression has done to us?
To be honest with you, listen, being real, practical, and pragmatic, I think, yes, there can be a time for the Black community to be able to recognize the ways in which we are getting in the way of other people in our community that's not just Black and straight and cis, You know what I'm saying? I think there is a time for that, right? But I recognize it's a lot of work to be done, and I think there's a lot of unpackaging to be done. You feel me? I feel like for me, when I was 19, I fell in love with the Black Power movement. I fell in love with Huey P. Newton. I fell in love with Stokely Carmichael. I fell in love with all those brothers and everything that was going on. What did it for me, and too, I feel like such a fanboy when I found that she followed me on Instagram. But Joan, man, I can't think of it. Joan, when chicken heads come home and roost, hood feminism, that was to me, that was the book that made me reflect and think about how Joan's words made me think about how, you feel me, how I, you know what I'm saying, get in the way. When she talked about the words, I felt like I was
Joan Morgan is her name.
Joan Morgan. I'm gonna say something about say the wrong name and the last name. It's like, I know it's Joan though. I definitely my last first name is Joan. But she said I felt like the slave of a slave. That was the word that was the terminology that captured my consciousness and made me go back and think about the things that I have done and how I have done them and how I've been conditioned to relate to women specifically and what it meant for me to be a strong Black man and what it meant for me to be bitch better, this, that, and the other. I started to kind of unlearn a lot of that. I feel like a lot of that, you feel me? So I think that when I was forced to see my heroes as oppressors, it did a lot for me. Like just psychologically on a conscious level, it was like, damn, that fucked me up. And I think that I started my journey then, you feel me? And then and I think it's unpackaging this, you feel me? Just to be real with you, Jay, we think being real with it about it, it's like a lot of people in our community see gay shit as white shit, specifically when it comes to thinking about like reproduction, right? So like right now, I've been working on a video and working on this research about the you know what I'm saying, about the Willie Lynch letter, right? And without, you know what I'm saying, kind of sharing too much of my research, it's gonna be a damn good video, I promise you.
Please do share as you like.
not this shit though. I want to make sure, you know what I mean. But listen though, we know that a lot of people in our community will regurgitate things that was allegedly in the Willie Lynch letter, and they would talk about the idea or concept. A lot of times, the speaking point is with the bug breaking. You feel me? Bug breaking, where the slave master was, you know what I'm saying, basically assaulting, you feel me, men, and it's supposed to be seen as X, Y, and Z, right? A lot of people, because they're sexually illiterate, they will see, you feel me, assault as being like a manifestation of homosexuality, not recognizing like, hey, motherfucker, it's people in the prison industrial complex right now, you feel me, that are experiencing assault by other dudes, bro. So don't try to act like, you know what I'm saying, but I think that, you know what I mean, my point, right? My point in bringing the Williams letter and bringing up this right here is that a lot of times when our community sees the LGBT community, it's seen as a mere attack on masculinity, a mere attack on the community because of tropes and pathologies like bug dancing, you feel me? Bug breaking, you feel what I mean? So I know from when I've had my name Consciously. So when I go to other places and I'm talking about being conscious, it's a lot of people that take heed to that. Like, nigga, conscious, you on that gay shit, X, Y, and Z, you pushing that shit, nigga, this, that, and the other. Now, I already know that it's what I have to unpackage is they think that emasculation is real. I'm supposed to be emasculated because I'm by 3 people that's not, you know what I'm saying, straight from what I can tell you feel what I'm saying? So I'm supposed to automatically be like, oh my shit.
You're the representative. You gotta represent the masculinity all the way around. You
know what I'm saying? But I know being real though, that's how we talk to be like, hey, we're gonna do some gay ass shit and you feel me in the locker room. But then when we get in the hallway, you feel me? If Dwayne passed by me, I'm gonna act like he got the plague, even though I was just doing some gay shit in, you know what I'm saying, in the locker room. I think that that's the different ways and how we able to compartmentalize what I call, again, plantation politics. And in this instance, it's just like homoeroticism. It's like, hey, you have a very, I ain't gonna go there right now. I'll shut up now. I've been talking for a long time.
That was a good mic drop. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have more with the Conscious League. And of course, you are watching the link right here. So stay tuned. We have a quick commercial break right after this. Are you in need of a quick and easy way to know your HIV status? Swab and Chill is a discreet way to learn your status in the comfort of your own home. The process gives you results in 20 minutes. Swab the upper gums, swab the lower gums, and voila! Simply follow the colorful step-by-step instructions located inside the kit. Or call APLA and we can assist you virtually. In addition, all kits include condoms and lube for that penetrative fun. For our trans clients, we have Swab and Chill Plus, a customizable kit for trans-specific needs. And we haven't forgotten about COVID either. All kits include personal protection gear, like face masks, comfortable yet stylish. A personal touch tool for dealing with those germ-infested handles and ATM keypads. Wet wipes for those little messes that need cleaning up. Also, keep that summer body protected with Swab and Chill sunscreen. And don't forget about our fanny packs for those quick trips to the store. All this can be yours. Simply call Swab and Chill at 323-329-9713 or email us at swabandchill@apla.org. We would love for you to be part of our Swab and Chill family.
Come swab and chill with us!
What's going on, everybody? You are watching The Link. Make sure that if you are someone that you know is in the Los Angeles area who is a Black or brown male sleeping with other men who might need an HIV test, that they reach out to Swab and Chill at 323-329-9713. It's a quick assessment over the phone. We put your kit together, ship it out to you, and you get your results in the privacy of your own home in less than 20 minutes. Okay? It's that simple. So make sure you call, text, or you can email us at swabandchill@apla.org. Lee, one of the things that you said in our last segment that really really hits home for me when you said watching your heroes become the oppressor did something to you. And it reminded me of the conversation that James Baldwin had with, I believe it was with Nikki Giovanni. And she told him, if you can go out in the world and smile for the white man, why can't you come home and do that for me as your wife, as your partner? You know, that the Black man will go and pretend to be, you know, nice and kind and, you know, for the white world, but then you bring home the anger, the bitterness, the regret. And so it's really interesting, that phrase, seeing your heroes become the oppressor, because I think so often we put people on these pedestals and we put people in these places where they can do no wrong. Which brings me to my next question concerning something that we talked about in our What's Poppin' segment. What are your thoughts on the Dave Chappelle special? Because I know that I have come under a lot of fire from people defending the special, even non-trans people who are still a part of the LGBTQ, Q portion of the acronym. I mean, really caping for this special and what he said and how he said it and what he meant and what he was trying to do. What is your take on that special?
I think that Dave Chappelle, when it comes to his racial commentary, he's pretty much a genius. I think that because he lacks intersectional analysis when it comes to thinking about like Black trans women or thinking about like queer Black people, I feel like it's an afterthought. I feel like it makes it where a lot of those jokes and punchlines for his jokes specifically in regards to gender, you feel me, and sexuality, to me it just be lackluster, or to me it just be like, bro, the humor would have made middle school Lee or high school Lee laugh. But as a grown ass man, I just don't find jokes about whooping lesbians' ass funny. Just me, I just don't find that shit funny. You feel me? Now, I do think that there were a lot of valid points that Dave Chappelle made that I can agree with and get behind. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But I think that specifically when it comes to the jokes that he made surrounding transness, I just think that they were tasteless. And I feel like it showed me how you can convince the world that if you thought 5% about trans identities and everybody else ain't thought nothing about it, that you come off as being genius or you come off as being clever. You feel me? And I think that when it came to what Dave Chappelle specifically said about transness, just everything he said to me, it was just inconsistent. You feel me? You ended it like, first of all, the damn thing was an hour and 12 minutes. You spent 37 minutes talking about trans identities. You start off with talking about you being invested in the gender construct. That's the words that Dave used it. I'm invested in the gender construct because I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I love my wife wet pussy. That's literally what he said. But he ends it by saying like gender is a fact, and everybody in the world that come through the world have to come through, you know what I'm saying, the vagina of a woman's vagina or something. And for me, it's just like, hey, bro, you made a joke about a fat beefy dick in a skirt, and you made a joke about being more comfortable if you feel me. Basically, a trans man backed it up on the urinal for you, and you would have felt more comfortable. So in my mind, you acknowledging that trans men exist within the same special, and in 10 minutes I just feel like it was a lot of inconsistencies. Like to me, it's like, what does it mean, nigga, for you to say you missed the old Stonewall gays, and then for you to act like black trans women don't exist? To me, what does that mean? What does it mean for you to literally evoke the historical Stonewall, and then for you to, you feel me? And then in my mind, it's a lot of inconsistencies. The same people that's caping for Dave Chappelle will talk about a goddamn gay agenda. They ain't talking about Dave Chappelle fantasizing and sticking his dick in a glory hole. You feel what I'm saying? In my mind, shit, that's what they say to me. Oh, consciously, he on the DL, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. Well, goddamn, right now, y'all acting like Kyrie Irving is a goddamn shit warrior. But shit, Dave Chappelle opened the show with talking about getting the vaccine. So now y'all want to act like Dave Chappelle just the, you know what I'm saying, the greatest end-all be-all for black people. He opened up his special talking about like the sensationalized narrative of black people beating up Asians. So in my mind, I see a lot of wishy-washy and people being like, well, you only heard what you want to hear. No, motherfucker, you only heard what you want to hear. In my mind, you can't say, I stand with trans women are women. Then you jokingly say, I stand with J.K. Rowling. I'm a TERF. And then you say what TERF means. You say it stands for trans exclusionary radical feminist. So if the mere title is defined in opposition to the trans women, what the fuck does it mean to do? And then the last thing how I end this rant is I had a student, you feel me, last year, you know what I'm saying, that took their life. You know what I'm saying? Literally the day before the resurrection, like January 6th, this happened January 5th. You know what I'm saying? Not to go into too much details, I feel some type of way about them, you know what I'm saying? Shit, just straight up misgendering my girl the whole time. You feel me? I feel some type of way about that shit, right? So when he trying to show that he recognizes the humanity of trans people with this white woman, I'm automatically thinking like, well, bro, you even did some disrespectful ass shit that showed me that you ain't really like that with her anyway. You said that your daddy was the most strongest man, woman. I was just like, bro, you killing it, bro. You misgendered her in death.
Yeah, and to me, it was just like I said, one of the things that really was cringy to me was that you believe the rest of the trans community for her death, and basically said, you know, I gave money and I raised money, and the trans community is the community that killed her. But yet again,
white liberal vibes. I'm sorry to cut you off, but white liberal vibes.
But it's true. But I do want to get to some of the questions in these comments. So we have a question from Kwame Corbett. He says, why do you think cishet black men have such issues with black gay men and black trans women? And I'm going to take it a little further. I'm going to change this question a little bit. Why do you think black cishet men have such an issue with black feminine presenting gay men and black trans women?
Well, it's gay men in general too, though, Daniel, because it's not like just because we putting on, you know, like just because we still look like this, once they find out that we are homosexual, it's a problem regardless. So,
well, I'm not removing that. This is an and portion to what Kwame is asking.
Yeah.
This is an and portion, because what I have found, and this is just my experience, as someone who is very feminine presenting, obviously you see me on camera. I have found that a lot of masculine gay Black men, if they do not want the attention or the oppression or, the heat, they're able to stealth out as a masculine straight individual, and they're able to navigate space in a way that I am not able to navigate space. So I'm not changing Kwame's question, but I do want to add that layer of nuance.
Yeah, but I think that we can add a lot of nuance. We can add as much nuance as we want, but I think it's real simple. It's about power and privilege. And I think that if you are invested in getting power and privilege, you're gonna always have your identity. You're gonna always define yourself based off of who you can dominate and who you can be on top of. And what I find is that because we're conditioned in a misogynistic world, it is always already easy for us to go after the disposable feminine energy. And what I know about femininity and feminism and womanism is that I think that at the core of homophobia, at the core of transphobia is like the hatred of that feminine energy, and or it is how we indoctrinated to hate women. You feel me? That's just what I think. I could be wrong. I'm open to being criticized and critiqued for how I understand that. You feel me? But that's how I see it. I see it as those two things. First thing, people want to define themselves based off of how happy and how good they can be, based off of who they can dominate, who they can be on top of. The other thing, what we find is the universal, I feel like, mastifier and being able to be, hey, motherfucker, you really can dominate. You can prove you can dominate them over there. Is I feel like feminine bodies, regardless of what the genitalia is, regardless if you're a feminine body, then shit, I'm gonna prove myself by dominating you, whether that's sexually, physically, emotionally. I'm a man. Hear me roar, bitch, come here.
So I have a question.
I'm sorry, it's being real. It's being so straightforward.
It is real. The delivery was hilarious.
It was the for me.
It was the bitch come here for me. But that is true. It is true. The need to dominate is definitely an underlying issue that adds to the violence and discrimination. But Kai, you had a question.
Yeah, so my question is kind of in regard to, the term was already kind of mentioned, the idea of the gay agenda, right? And especially lately, we've been seeing a lot of the push of, it's the gay agenda. I don't want to see this on television because of the gay agenda. Or why do we need to have a bisexual Superman? Or why is Lil Nas X, forcing the gay agenda? So Conscious, my question is, how do you have that conversation with people who say, you can be gay, but I don't want to see it in their face, but then they'll listen to, R. Kelly, where literally that man's entire repertoire was about sex, where they were playing it for their kids, or they were playing Luther Vandross or Marvin Gaye or anything like that. And I'm saying that especially for the older generation who likes to, talk about like everything's about sex now when they're listening to Luther.
I mean, because Teddy Pendergrass told you to turn the damn lights off. I'm just saying.
So how do you have that conversation in regards to the gay agenda or putting gayness out in people's face when it comes to relationships?
I really feel like it depends on my mood. If I'm really feeling groovy like an Austin Powers movie, I'll probably be very condescending and talk about heteronormativity and talk about just the fake Messiah myth of subjectivity or objectivity and neutrality, because most people think that sexuality and gender, there's a neutral, objective way to be able to see it. And the reason why on the surface they feel like they're justified in saying fuck that gay shit over there is because it's messing up the objectivity and the neutrality of sexuality and gender. So what I usually start with, if I'm feeling real like irritated and it's being like I think you're full of shit, I'm gonna go with first describing heteronormativity and how heterosexuality is such the normalized, always already expected sexuality that a lot of times when heterosexuality is pushed on to kids, you don't see it as being pushed on the kids because you see it as being a norm. You feel me? I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. My daughter in kindergarten this year. It's guaranteed in goddamn February they're gonna practice heteronormative romance through the whole month of February. I ain't gonna see nobody come there talking about I don't want to see my little girl getting no X, Y, and Z, my little boy. That it's part of the shit. You feel me? When we watch Lion King, we know that Nala and Simba end up having a romance. You feel me? When we watch Frozen, we know that Elsa and Kristoff end up having a romance. You feel me? When we watch Aladdin, I think that it's a lot of ways in which people be faking the funk or be lost in the sauce of heteronormativity, acting as if, well, I don't got a problem with sexuality. Just don't put it on the kids. I don't care. I don't want no sexuality on the kids. And it's like, hey, your kids watch all cartoons and movies that supposedly show healthy models of what heterosexual love looks like. If we think that you have to have a certain, you feel me, exposure to seeing these type of things, so you know what a healthy relationship look like, it's like, hey, in my opinion, how I see gay people is like, hey, some people is like, hey, a motherfucker didn't wake up and they were 18 and just was like, I'm gonna be gay today. People don't just wake up and be like, man, you know what? I sucked in basketball as a guy. I'm gonna be a girl today. It's just like, that's not how the shit works. And I think that because I know that's not how it works, I recognize that I had people I went to school with in 5th grade, and 6th grade, and 7th grade, and 8th grade. They probably was forced to ask a girl to the dance, and they probably wanted to ask the boy over there. They probably have shitty relationships now because they never had to have a lot of. I had relationships too, but I recognized that I had the privilege of being able to practice how to do my monogamous heterosexual shit. And I know that most gay people that are not straight, don't get to have that luxury until they grown. So in my mind, it's like, hey, if you are here for the adult experience, then stop acting like motherfuckers don't, you know what I'm saying? Well, they can be gay, but when they grown enough to be, hey, man, you don't, you know what I mean? That's how you know what I mean? But I know that's a longer way of doing it, but pretty much it really depends on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling educational, I'll be educational, and I try to not be I try to be respectful and not be so, you feel me, an asshole with it. If I feel like you being an asshole with me, I'm gonna be an asshole with you. We're gonna go there. I'm probably gonna disrespect you. Like, hey, how manly is you, nigga, if you feel threatened by the presence of homosexuality? Like, nigga, if you feel threatened by the presence of them, it say more about you than it say about them. Like, let's go there. So I'm
here for the I will match your energy. I'm here for the I will match your
like,
energy.
you want to learn? Let's learn. But if you want to talk some shit, let's talk some shit. Let's do it. I want to do it. I'm down whatever you down with. Shit.
Well, Lee, we are coming to the end of our show, but before we do, I want to know, being that you are a father, you are a husband, how has your family, your wife, I mean, obviously your kids are young, but I'm sure that they're, if not as conscious as their dad, they're on their way. How has your family supported you in just blowing up on these platforms and just spreading the knowledge and the advocacy that you do?
Man, my wife is the rider, the not, you know, I ain't even say the rider, you feel me? A lot of times the thought leader and a lot of things that I'm able to do on the internet, you feel me? Like behind the scenes, my wife make a lot of things possible and how I'm able to do it in terms of making sure that, you know what I'm saying, I put together in certain ways, making sure that I've done the things I need to do, and even recognizing that a lot of cisgender straight women would have a big issue with how I do and what I do because they would be too worried about if I'm sleeping with somebody over here, if I'm doing this over here, if I'm doing it over there. My wife is so comfortable with who I am and who she married. She don't never really play me. She'll never play me at all with talking about nothing at all. You feel what I'm saying? She knows that I have a genuine love and sincerity for people that I'll talk about freeing and liberating and getting progression for, and it never becomes trivialized. I never have to worry about my manhood being played or my sexuality being, you know what I'm saying, negotiator or anything like that. Like my wife, you know what I'm saying, she, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a learning experience. I feel like I already had a little bit of a TikTok following before the quarantine, but then after we all got forced in the house and then everybody started watching videos, my following literally grew by 10. So I think that we just learning, you feel me, every day with new opportunities and new trials and tribulations. But my wife really, you feel me, make sure things is held down. Like right now, my 5-year-old and my 3-year-old, you know what I'm saying, about to get ready to get into bed. But my wife had to go take care of some shit and she could be on my ass like, damn, nigga, you always doing X, Y, and Z. And sometimes she needs to be and she will be, right? But this tonight, though, she was like, I know you got to do the thing. I'm going to do this right here. You know what I'm saying? Boom, 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 boom. We good. So I feel like she does a lot of adapting for me to make possible what I give to y'all. A lot of y'all love my energy and what I'm talking about. My wife really make it possible to make sure my kids is taken care of or making sure my kids got somewhere to go. And we, you know what I'm saying? So I really, you feel me, really just, that's the only person I'm going to talk about in this right here. My family, my wife, the person I sleep next to every damn night, the person that, you know what I'm saying, making sure like that's, you know, walking in the house right there. My wife makes sure that a lot of shit that y'all get to see. I'm bragging about you right now, honey. I love you to death.
Come on, sweetheart.
I love it.
That's right.
She was like, all right, great.
Yeah, shout out to her.
Noticed about your marriage is how you protect your wife's presence. Because I don't think I've ever really seen your wife in any of the things that you do. And I just think that for you to be the front person on social media in that way, I know a lot of people who want to make those things like a thing.
Yeah, she don't like it. And to be real, the times I put her on the internet, because she look like y'all too. You feel me? She light bright, white. I mean that, y'all know I mean that with love, and y'all know we got black. You know what I'm saying?
We
know. I know exactly what you meant.
Yeah, but because it's expected for me to be with, I guess, a extremely dark skinned woman and X, Y, and Z, I have to deal with the conversations about colorism and people coming for my wife's, you feel me, blackness, and coming for our identity. So a lot of times I don't even like to even put her through. You feel me? Like she be like, shit, if she with the shit, like whatever, but we're like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that I'll be very strategic in how I feel like show, you know what I'm saying, specifically my wife. And she don't really like the spotlight like that. She don't really like the spotlight. She like to leave it up to her husband, and then she do the things, you know what I'm saying? She the gangster in the background. You feel me?
I know that's right. Well, as we close out the show, tell us quickly, like, how can people follow you? What do you have coming up that we need to be supporting? Is there a book tour coming? Like, what's happening? What's coming up next for Consciously brand?
Yeah. Well, y'all see me behind me. I got, you know what I'm saying, behind me right there, GeorgeLeeSpeaks.com. That's the website. You can find me to do any booking, find any merch. You know what I'm saying? You can find me at The Consciously on all social media platforms. I'm working on a book right now. You know what I mean? It's been a journey, but definitely a book tour coming soon. And then right now, Black Friday, I'll be having my online class. I'm also a professor, but I'm gonna make it where I'm gonna have 3 classes that's gonna be completely accessible to everybody that want to sign up for it and enroll. You feel me? On Teachable. But definitely, I'm gonna be having 3 online classes coming y'all way. One of the courses will be like an introduction to like diversity and inclusion. The other class will be about social issues and social media. And then in the first class, I'm still deciding on what I want it to be about. But you feel me? It'll be coming y'all way. You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
Well, Lee, I want to thank you so much on behalf of all of us here at The Link for being on the show. We definitely have to have you back at some point. We're going to put you in the green room. Don't go anywhere. We're going to debrief right after the show. But we want to thank you for being with us. If you want to follow The Consciously, you can follow him on all social media at The Consciously. Just look him up. He's Googleable, honey. You can catch him on TikTok. You can catch him on Instagram. He's everywhere, okay? But it is that time. We have to go. I want to thank you all so much for commenting. I see the comments. They are loving you. All of the shout outs, the questions.
Shout out to y'all in the comments. Appreciate y'all.
The interaction. Make sure that you tune in next week, okay? Same place, same time, right here, Tuesdays, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm Daniel. That's Kai.
I was like, wait, say something. I'm Kai.
They ruined the moment. We're the host of The Link. Make sure you catch us next week. Subscribe, follow us, all that good, great stuff. Until next time. We love you, and you have an amazing Tuesday evening. Bye.